Hey folks, how's it going? It's been a little while since we've done one of these videos, and honestly, part of the reason was, I had a few personal issues, but also partly some of the reason was every time I checked Twitter from like December the 15th all the way to like January the 9th, there was nothing. It was complete radio silence from Gears of War, the Coalition, everyone related to the team, and I honestly thought to myself, I'm not really enjoying the game right now. There is no content being produced by the company. There's no discussion going on. I tried to reach out to Dana. There was nothing in return. He's since said he would answer the questions, which we worked on 3-4 weeks ago. So maybe we get a response on that. But I honestly sat there and I thought, why should I be trying to create content for a game where the developers don't even want to create content? I took a step back and I've been thinking, and then I realized, I've got the content goal on screen and we've almost made it towards the content goal for last month, and I wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone that supported this content goal. We are 75% of the way to supporting what was December's content. So again, if you enjoyed November and December's content, then we're 25% away from making the goal, and let's see if we can make January, February a good month for Gears 5. Now, I'm slightly different in 2020. For a start, I've just showered, hence the soaking wet straight hair. But apart from that, I'm not in the mood to listen to poor videos and poor discussion. I've already stopped people tweeting at me on Twitter. When the conversation's going nowhere, I'm just not partaking in it. I'm on a very short, string to save your time and my time. If at any point I find this really, really pointless and boring, just like in, I think it was episode 7, I'll just switch it off. Now, if it is interesting and there are good answers and good communication, I will post it to you because it's relevant. But if it's really not relevant and it's really poor, I won't waste your time.
A good video as well. We are going to talk about things. We're not just going to make small talk until we get...
Okay, so first thing is, there is Node Zero is late. He's not even here. So this is like the first stream, I think, back since, is it like December 12th or something? So Node Zero's late, and these other two have no microphones.
Rolling, we slept in weeks.
Do we both sound quiet? Wait, my mic is off. My mic.
What's really embarrassing about this is, like I say, 2020, no point holding back. Everyone spamming hashtag revert. You've got someone here verified. I'm pretty sure he's a coach. Fatal Strike. He's a coach. I believe he even follows me. Spamming hashtag revert. What kind of feedback is that? Honestly. How does that help anybody? Spamming hashtag revert. It doesn't. It just... Like what's so amazing about this is they quickened up the strafing speed and all of this, and yeah, there are some problems with it because of the gib range, because of the up A. Hello 2020, we're back talking about gib range, talking about up A, I know, but this just doesn't help. Formulate your opinion. You're a coach, blah blah blah. Put a video out. Tell the people why you want it reverting. Like, look, hashtag revert, revert. Oh, it's ridiculous.
We've got two versions.
Well, like, the original intention was to provide kind of clear shooting in the center, but still something that communicated the status and was like at the same time a little more immersive. So kind of in that order of goals. And so we've left the immersive option in there, but we wanted something that was going to be more functional and less intrusive.
This is the
I
microphone.
turned it back the other way, so it was actually hot before.
Yeah, there we go. Microphone episode.
Yeah. All right, so that is the new Omen, right there. I mean, to me, it is less intrusive, but let's be honest, it still is a massive red cog symbol with red protruding around it. I mean, it does look, yeah, a tiny bit better, but there's still all of this here. You still... Yeah, it's a tiny bit better, but would I call that a simple Omen? Not really. That blocks your vision, which nobody asked for, and it's just been put in the game.
The student play with the other, and it really comes down to kind of how you feel about interacting with the game.
Yeah.
And we're happy with both, and we still obviously love feedback on both. But the sort of simplified Omen is really there to provide like more visibility. It still has great shooting in the center.
Yeah.
And it still gives you enough hit information to kind of...
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just taken 4 months, which is okay if it was like crazy different and they'd really thought about like everything they wanted to do about it, and there was like a really unique thing that they'd done. But 4 months for slightly less redness is not great. Also, these people just spamming revert. It's a joke, mate. What are they doing? That doesn't help anybody.
I tell where you're being shot from.
This is what happens in Gears of War. It happened in Gears of War 2 as well. There's like a clique or like a group of people that don't like something that happens, and everyone's spamming revert. Now, Kenny Bounce, I believe, just won the LAN event. Fatal Strike is a coach. All of these are coaches or professional players, and they all want the movement reverted. All the movement did was quicken the game up. Now, the problem with the fact that they've quickened it up is that the up A speed boost exists and the gib range is bad. So the combination of the two, yes, make the new movement feel bad. And the fact that shots don't register on PC and console also make it feel bad. But the overall general like direction of making the game faster and more outplay potential is not a bad thing. It's just because it's combined with the gib range and up A speed boost. So you're getting the fast movement and then an up A with a big gib range, then it obviously seems really ridiculous and awful. But they're just spamming revert. They're not even thinking about it. It's ridiculous. Like, it's just...
And how much damage you have, but it is...
I see there are lots of people that are going to ask about the movement, just because we're going to talk a little bit
I thought we were
about...
talking about the Omen. Are we done talking
No,
about
no,
the
I'm
Omen?
just saying, I'm giving you that indication. But people, we're going to talk about the movement in a little bit, so you guys can just chill on your movement stuff right now. If you want to wait, we can...
What Dana wants to say there, which he can't say because he's a representative of the company, is I can say it because I'm not, is I can say, you bunch of fucking morons, stop spamming this shite in chat, mate. It doesn't help anybody. Like, it's ridiculous. Just fucking get a grip.
We can talk about the Omen. If you have questions about the Omen, you want to talk about the Omen, we're going to go down there. We know we want to talk about movement. Just pause. Thank you. Sorry, I was just wanted to provide context so you understand where I was going from.
Speak to the wonderful people on the stream.
That's what I did. So we're good.
I didn't say anything about
Okay, cool.
So yeah, we're
I can sense like a little bit of tension there, a little bit of tension between Node and Dana. Honestly, I can't blame them. They've probably got their hands tied behind the back. One of them wants to do one thing, one of them wants to do the other. One of them has to be PR and manage the chat, and probably deep down they want to say, oh, just stop fucking spamming the chat, you bunch of fucking idiots. That's what they probably want to fucking say.
I'm in at different times. Like it isn't always just 0 to 100. It has to do with sort of trying to make it feel like 50% damage or feel like 75% damage.
Okay.
So like when you first start playing Gears of War, you have to learn like whichever Omen system you're using. So in Gears 3 or 2 or 1, like you would play and you'd be like, oh, well, there's this red thing. I have to learn like how much. Oh, okay, there I died. That's kind of about half.
I don't think that's that bad what he's saying. If you can flick through here, you can see that it does look a lot better, and he's right. Gears of War isn't a health bar. You don't just look at the Omen and go, oh, I'm 20%, I'm 30%, I'm 45%. I think that's like a newer crowd thing that want like specific numbers. I come from Gears 1, and basically there was like 2 stages or 3 stages. You were a little bit red, you were kind of red, and then you were absolutely bricked, 4-pointed, chunked, whatever the term you used was. and then you knew, yeah, if I get hit anymore, I'm probably going down. It's never been this specific bar of, oh, I looked at my health bar and I looked at my Omen and I knew I was at 26%, so I knew I could take 8 Lancer bullets because 8 Lancer bullets does 74%, right, or whatever the numbers are. It's always been a system that you have to learn. So, yeah, it's not completely clear, but people spamming in chat that they don't know what percentage is what, that's never been the overall theme of Gears. The theme of Gears has always been, yeah, you jump into it and you learn the little mechanics, like, oh, this guy's 4 point, this guy's 2 point, blah blah blah. And now you've also got this where if you've been shot and you can see these orange indicators coming in, you can now see that if it's an active coming in from the side, so you might think, oh, I'm getting shot from the right, I'll get to the left because the actives are coming from the right hand side. I don't think it's that bad. I think people are massively overreacting. Should it have taken 4 months to change? No, obviously, but I think it's fine. But you have, again, the people in chat, when are the solutions coming to slow the game down? How slow do you want it? Like, it's pretty fucking slow. The only reason it's fast is the up A gib range. You take the up A gib range out, you're not going to have these fast-paced competitive games. It's still going to be primarily rifle lancer crossfire. I really don't know what they're saying.
Internally, a fairly short period of time, be able to tell that means like 50%, that means 75%, that means 100%. So this, relative to the previous 2 Omens, does have kind of less obvious, like, I don't want to use the word like there's less opaque things on the screen. It's more translucent.
Yeah.
And so you have to
you know,
interpret it differently than you do the other 2 Omens, right?
Right.
So
I honestly don't know what people are going on about and all this. It's pretty obvious when you're full red. No? Like there you could tell he was absolutely full red and he was about to go down. And it's pretty obvious that if you're like this, you're kind of like, oh, I'm not full red. When it happens like this, you're like, oh, I'm kind of getting red. When this happens, you're like, yeah, all right, I better stop taking damage now. I'm at 50%. And then when you start seeing this, you're like, yeah, I'm about to go down. Yeah, I really don't understand what people are getting so pissed off about. It's just the Omen. Like, the redness is still a bit ridiculous, I'll admit. Like, this is, like, completely blinding. I'll admit this is still probably way too much red. It's annoying. But like, to say that you can't see what percentage you are, is that what the game has become? Like a percentage of, oh, I was 86%, I did 99%, I did 98%. That's never been Gears to me. It's never been like that.
Talk about it now, or do you
I
want to
wait.
Well, then why don't we talk about the movement stuff?
Let's
and then
go to a different segment and then we can come back to that.
So we're going to talk about movement then.
Okay.
Which I know everybody's here to talk about anyway. So, movement.
Right.
Let's talk about why the changes were made.
Sure.
And then let's talk a little bit about where we are right now with feedback that we've been getting and stuff.
Sure. So we imagined a jet plane, and no, I'm kidding. We made changes to experiment with opening up more possibilities to use movement as a counter to shooting. Right? And we felt that bouncing was kind of at as far as it was going to sort of go, and like there really wasn't a lot of room there to play with. So we wanted to sort of relook at kind of strafing and how it could play into like close range combat. And we increased really the biggest change that we made was to increase actually not the top end speed. We actually didn't for walking or running. We changed how fast you get there. So it's called the walk acceleration. So we changed when you push the stick, when you pin the stick, how fast does it get to top speed?
Right.
Now the actual walking.
So here we have, let's have a look. Somebody called Sneaky that keeps spamming, Red Icy. We have Toby Campbell. Strafing is good, but A spam and OP speed boost is the issue. That's the first constructive piece we've had. We've got Domes that's just laughing, giving absolutely no constructive criticism. People just saying like, what Lamar? So far he said nothing wrong. All he said was he thinks that there should be a way to counter bullets with movement. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that statement. If you're being shot at, you should have an option to either shoot and fire back or move out of the way. There's no problem with trying to increase the movement and strafe speed. Nobody likes wiggling the stick left and right and feeling that the character isn't moving, so they upped basically the character acceleration, so when you actually go left, you actually go left. There's nothing wrong with that.
Speed did not change, right? So like you pin the stick, and that's all you do, the speed didn't change. But getting there got faster, which meant that you could kind of go back and forth faster, right? And that means that we also made it so that walking backwards was a little bit faster, so that the difference between walking forwards and backwards was not as extreme.
Right.
And that meant that because there's this gib distance out there, you can now, because you can walk backwards faster, you can kind of move left or right faster, you can play with that line more than you could before. Right? And that means you can sort of psych out the opponents a little bit. It means that like you can actually be a little aggressive and come back. It means that like you can be a little more defensive because you can pull back faster. So just the regular, strafe. I mean, people call it strafe play. It's like the core movement play without any bouncing. So we'll call that strafing. So the strafing play meant that you could dodge shots at a longer distance. It meant that it added a little bit more to the detail around the close combat. And then the second...
Like this guy here, a moderator, and a guy called Blaze, which I'm pretty sure is that idiotic fucking commentator that said, oh, you only make videos to clout chase. I'm pretty sure that's who that is. He's now saying walk acceleration, like he doesn't know what that is. It's literally... how are these... I don't understand what these people are on about. I really don't get it. What is wrong with having a strafe in Gears of War? Am I just... like, what?
Second thing that we did was to line up the slide speed coming in and the outgoing speed. Now, intuitively, like that just sounds obvious, but that through the previous games, it actually wasn't tuned this way. And we just kind of adopted that. We were like, cool, that's just the way it is and whatnot. That when you would come through and you would have actually like a faster speed sliding like with your up A than you would kind of coming in. And then like when you go into roadie run, it would sort of fade off and come down to the same speed. So what that meant, you get this little warble as you kind of like go around the corner. So you'd slide in, up A, and then you're going faster. And we'd have that Mario Kart kind of feel, like, like whoa, right? And so what we did is we said, okay, well, we lined those up to give like a better feeling of continuity and to sort of like make coming out no more beneficial than like sliding in, okay? So they're symmetric, right? Now, that ended up being that we kind of like had to sort of flip some numbers around a little bit to get them to line up. And we erred on the side of like making that like, of not turning it so that it was like the net lower one, it was like the net higher one, so that, because it's still slower than, significantly slower than Gears 4, but a little bit faster than what we shipped with to kind of match the two. And because we felt that we might have gone a little far in like making the game feel more tanky and a little less like punchy.
And I'm reading him speak. When I'm listening to him speak and I'm reading chat, I get it. What he's trying to say is everyone's memeing on the Mario Kart thing. What he's trying to basically say, I think, is strafing. They didn't want it to be like all ramp up time and all this and that, everything ramping up and then slowing down and feel weird. They wanted it to feel consistent, so the entry speed and exit speed of the up A has now been made the same. Now, I think that's wrong, I think the up A movement speed shouldn't be in the game. That's one of the only areas of the game where I think it should be slowed down. However, like, the strafe speed is good. The movement speed is good. The speed boost is a problem, but it's also only a problem because of the gib range. If the gib range was lowered a lot, then the gap closing nature of going around a corner or pushing somebody, it wouldn't be quite as brutal, because now if you up A, because the gib range is big, you only need to move a certain amount to the enemy and then you're already in gib range, so you can close the gap crazy, whereas there used to be a bit of skill in closing the gap, whereas now the up A is way too powerful. But what people are not getting, I feel like, is they're confusing the fact that the up A speed boost, and they're like, oh, they're laughing at Mario. That's not the issue. In fact, the up A speed boost would probably feel okay if the gib range wasn't as big, because you wouldn't be able to just up A around every corner and gib somebody from half the block away. So yeah, you know, you've got professional players, you've got commentators, you've got winners, you've got community members in here, all absolutely just spamming revert, but not really explaining anything. Kenny's like kind of explaining the strafe speed is great, but by default that will increase the speed at which you can bounce. I don't agree. The walking speed and slide speed are two different settings. Now, yeah, the speed boost that you get from the up A is different, but it's very strange that the community, like, Gears 2 was pretty much widely hated multiplayer wise because of the slow movement speed. Now it's become accepted and people have forgotten about it, and they want Gears 2 remakes. But honestly, at the time, Gears 2 was really not very accepted for how clunky and hunkered down you felt. They didn't want to make it clunky again, so they've tried to speed it up, but they've just messed up the gib range. But they can't change the gib range because people won't have one-shot downs in the game.
Doesn't feel as snappy.
Okay.
And the thing is that this again is this isn't the end.
Okay.
The most important thing to us was to bring some of that, like, close range movement play and set this symmetry up so that sliding in and sliding out were the same. Now, where we want to go from here, we want to address some of the knock-ons that came out of this, right?
Okay.
And so some of the knock-ons around this is that when you stand still in cover and you come out, you have the same speed as you were sliding in, because that's what the speed boost is.
Right.
Historically, you'd actually get it even more, but now you're just getting like the same speed that was coming in.
Okay.
Right. So this is there to make it so you don't feel like you all of a sudden stepped in mud, right? Because if it isn't there, you slide in and you slide around, and all of a sudden there's this like, I'm going slower, right? So it's intended to make that feel like continuous instead of I'm slide in, oh, now I'm in mud, right? So in a really harsh transition. So what we're planning on doing, the problem with this is that it now means that there's a person in cover, because they get that bonus even though they're standing still, they aren't really, it was never intended for them.
Right.
It was only intended to make the person sliding in, slide out, and have that motion feel natural. It was never intended to have the person in cover have this rocket that comes around the corner.
Right.
Right? So noodling the speed, the top speed, wasn't going to change this behavior of someone having a rocket coming around the corner without putting it like really far down.
Right.
So instead of doing that, what we're planning on doing is like splitting like the speeds and having, we're trying this, we haven't built this yet, so we're working on it internally, is so that when you're sitting in cover and you come out, you're going to get a different treatment. It'll likely just be as if you were moving normally. So
Okay.
you won't even get any speed boost at all. You'll get just regular roadie run speed, regular walk speed, whatever it is that you've used to come out. You come around the corner, you're in roadie run, you're going to get regular roadie run speed. There'll be absolutely no speed boost. And if you've slid in from we don't know exactly the criteria yet, but if you slid in, you've got momentum, and you follow through, it will maintain that, right? So if you come in with momentum, it preserves that momentum, and now you've got you can keep running at a slightly higher speed until it fades off, right? So
Okay.
it'll still feel smooth, to slide in and around. It won't have that warble like the previous games did. It'll feel continuous and smooth. But this means that if you're looking at somebody like approaching you, you will know that they will have this ability to close distance because they've been running at you like from further away and they're sliding in.
Right.
There will no longer be these people hiding in corners, or you won't like sitting there around the corner where they'll just launch at you with this really fast speed boost. That's going to go away.
Okay, so that was a really long explanation. What's wrong with that explanation? Now, again, he's trying to say that when you run, what the next stage is, because it has to go in stages, you can't fix the game all at once. You run, if you're running and then you up A, because you were running, yeah, you might get a bit of momentum on the up A because you were running. If you're stood still hiding in a corner, you can't just up A somebody and have this massive speed boost, because you know now when you'll see somebody stood at a wall and they up A you and you're dead before they've even moved on your screen, because they up A, get the speed boost, their gun wraps around the wall and blows the person up whilst their gun's around the wall and they haven't even moved. And that's what they're going to try deal with. So they deal with that next, and then they deal with the gib range. I think it's pretty good. But it's hard to... how do I word it? Just this chat is just idiotic. I honestly... There's like no wonder the game's in a complete mess if these are like the community.
Now, we acknowledge there's this window of time here where we kind of have done half of it and not the other half.
Yeah.
And that's something that we acknowledge, that we thought it was more important to bring these two things in alignment and test out like sort of how this thing is working,
Right.
as opposed to sort of wait another 3 months or 6 months to kind of get the rest of it in. So we know there's a little bit of growing pains whenever we change movement. There's like people on all sides, like, you know, some people love it, some people hate it. You know, people need to get used to it, or they will never get used to it. So we know that this is a contentious topic, and we do take all the feedback very seriously. But we have sort of a plan that again is about like 3 stages where we're trying to make the movement very skillful, while also being like feeling punchy and fun and gamey, but also very high skill. And that's something that we think we've had to historically trade those against each other, and we think we've come up with some designs that will make it both like fun and punchy and deep and skillful. So more on that later, but that's where we're currently at.
Okay. I hope that answered a lot of gave everybody a little bit of context on the thinking behind why the movement is where the movement is.
If people want to give feedback on this subject, Ryan, where's supposed to post? Obviously, we've got the forum thread. Is probably the best place, right, for the movement forum thread we have.
I mean, that's really your call, I think. Like, where do you want them posting feedback?
I mean,
Yeah.
we'll read it all over. It's just
Yeah, I mean, I think putting it into the forum is probably, and we can post the link in the chat here to the forum, is the easiest way to for us to have it all in one. I mean, we're going to be reading it everywhere, as Liam said, but having it in one central location allows us to sort of gather a lot of the feedback in an easy spot. So
I think that one of the things that's difficult for us is that, there's a philosophy that says like don't release it till you are finished, right? But we're balancing that with trying to show that we're trying to make to improve the game like over time. And we've erred on the side of demonstrating that we're moving forward rather than waiting till we're completely done yet. And I think if the vast majority of people are like,
I mean, that's really it. I think that's what everyone wanted to talk about, isn't it? I have no problem with that. I seem to be in the minority. Every single pro player who likes to sit in Lancer and have no movement speed and no strafing seems to hate it. The main problem's the gib range, the up A move speed, that's it. It's not the movement. They're just using these words and saying, type 1 if you hate the movement. It's like... Like, it's actually just ridiculous. Why do 800 of us need to go to a thread right now? We are here. Literally, press 1 to revert. Like, this is a professional player trying to command Twitch chat to change the game. Like, honestly, is there any wonder why the game is in such a mess? These are trying to explain that you can't just... Right, how do I word this to end the video? Because I'm not going to watch 1 hour of it. You know, that's really what everyone wants to talk about, isn't it? When you release a character in League of Legends, some of the character's abilities might be completely overpowered. Right? But you don't just go and nerf every single ability and every single item that character uses, because then when the feedback comes in 6 months down the line after changing everything, you don't really know what was the crucial change. When it comes in and somebody says, hey, this character's now really weak, they can't pinpoint anything because everything got changed at once. Was it the item the character used? Was it the value of a certain skill? Was it the cooldown of a certain skill? If they change everything at once, it becomes really difficult to figure out what people are liking and not liking. It has to be done in stages. So right now, they're at the stage where they've evened out the speed boost and they've made the strafe faster and the game a little bit more fluid. They've admitted that the speed boost is a little bit ridiculous and they're trying to tone it down. And they also want to deal with some other stuff, making the game feel fun but also skilled, and there's no real problem with that. But you've got everyone in chat spamming press 1 to revert, rage, commentators, pro players, community managers, or community people, streamers, all spamming. It's just getting a bit ridiculous, because let's put it this way, if they changed everything at once, instead of this update coming out in 3 months, you might have had to wait 6 months. Then when they bring out the full update after 6 months, you've got all these changes: up A speed, strafe speed, walk acceleration, gib range, up A speed whilst running, entrance speed, exit speed, removal of wobble, all these things that after 6 months, when it eventually got released, if the community didn't like something, they wouldn't be able to pinpoint exactly what they didn't like, because they don't really know what's truly been changed. Whereas right now, I think we agree, we like the speed of the strafe. Well, I do, personally. I don't like the up A speed and I don't like the gib range, but if they change all those things, which they're slowly doing, and then it's feeling really good but the gib range is ridiculous, they lower the gib range. And then you know that's what they've done. Then if they lower the gib range and the game still feels absolutely terrible, you can go and tweak other things. But if you just do it all at once, it's like impossible to balance it. But like, I think watching this, it really shows why the game is in such a complete mess, because people literally for 41 minutes have been spamming hashtag revert, laughing at Mario Kart, and generally giving absolutely no critical information on how to change it. There's been 1 or 2 comments, that's it. They're saying, why do we have to go into a thread? Why do we have to go into a thread and discuss the movement? Well, because amazingly, you can't just spam in Twitch chat and get the game changed. There was probably like 800 people watching live. Are you telling me that 800 people get to design the way the game is played? Absolutely not. It's not. It honestly, like I say, I'm enjoying making this video because it's really shown me that this is... It's nonsense, isn't it? It's absolute nonsense that people spamming, I'm going back to Gears 4, hashtag revert. What are you even talking about? Revert what? At least explain the aspect of the reversion that you want. Do you want it to go back to launch? Do you want it to go back to 2 weeks after launch? Do you want it to go back to Title Update 1, Title Update 2, Title Update 3? Do you want it to go back to Gears 4? To Gears 2? What do you want? Ask yourself this. How is a developer meant to possibly design a game when that is the feedback? It's ridiculous. There are issues, there are actual issues, like the game doesn't work, rank doesn't work, you can't find free-for-all games, all this type of stuff, and on top of that, you've just got this, it's my channel, I'll say it as it is, it's just idiots, mate. Idiots, like, and I don't ever feel sorry for TC, but honestly, what are they meant to do when that's the feedback that they're getting? It's actually ridiculous, man. I know I keep saying it's ridiculous, because I thought that maybe the community might be better than that. Why don't we talk about the fact the PC shotgun is broken, the matchmaking's broken, there are a lack of maps, the Canters was meant to be released in January and it wasn't. What about all that stuff? Instead, we're getting absolutely over the top ragey of the fact that the movement got changed ever so slightly to strafe. People were even saying there's an Easter egg going on, and they were saying, oh, they need to spend less time making Easter eggs and more time developing the movement. The guy that made this Easter egg, bro, isn't the guy that develops the movement. There's different departments. This is like, how are you meant to design a game that's fun to play when you've got people like him? I don't know what this means. He's verified. The movement change was such a drastic change in the opposite way of everything that was discussed during Gears 4 and 5. The strafe speed has always been a problem. Look, Gears 4 and 5 were not popular games. Whether you like it or not, the Gears 4 esports side was absolutely tiny and minuscule compared to actual proper esports. And the amount of people that watched it, yeah, there might have been 20,000 farming skins or something or whatever, but compared to like the millions of fans that Gears 1 had and even Gears 2, you can't balance the game around some people that happen to just love Gears 4 and 5. It's just... People are saying, why have I got banned? Why do you think you're not adding anything to the conversation? You're just spamming revert. We don't care about this, just fix your game. What are they meant to do? Like, bring back Cliffy B. Listen to the community. What are they meant to... The community isn't saying anything. It's just a bunch of people trying to go viral, making videos, doing memes, or like, blah, 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 I'm out. Someone type in global... Hey, someone go in the game, guys. Someone go in the game and type #revert. Fucking embarrassing, bro. Absolutely fucking embarrassing. Is that the community? Is that it? Is that really what it is? Like, nah. Anyway, that's me. If you enjoy the content and you enjoy my personal take on these dev blogs, let me know with a comment below and a like, one comment. Everyone knows the rules. Let's start off 2020 with an interesting one. Again, if you enjoy the content and you enjoyed November to December's content, there is a support goal there and links in the description. So, yeah, you can tip me a coffee, you can Twitch Prime or whatever. But yeah, you know, that's what it is, isn't it? Is there anything more ridiculous than trying to balance for such a split community? Some people love it, some people hate. I don't know, like,